Hello, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a Beyond the Summit presentation of the iLeague Season 3 Dota 2 Chinese qualifiers. Here in the group stage, we've got Newbee.Y versus Newbee in this two-game series. Game 1 going the way of Newbee proper, and they were able to just execute really well on a draft that had a nice amount of momentum, nice amount of kills, really good laning phase in particular, just being able to weather the storm of aggression that Newbee.Y were trying to pull out. But we're going to be seeing quite a different draft for game number 2, so happy to get on into it. It's actually been an exciting morning, really. Like, I got less than 6 hours of sleep last night. I was like, oh, it's going to be so hard to stay awake. No way. These games are so intense, action-packed, and they are giving me some Dota adrenaline, really. But, yep, we're going to start things off here with looking at these two sides and getting into the draft. I myself, once again, am Blaze. Happy you guys are tuning in to Beyond the Summit and joining us here for iLeague. And I am joined once again by Gorgon, the Wonder Cow. How's it going?
It's going really well. Happy to see, well, first of all, the first game with Queen of Pain so far today. She is a 100% pick ban rate in Pro Dota for this new patch, really heavily prioritized. To give you an idea of the gap between her and the next level prioritization, Lena has a 63.9 pick ban rate. So very even spread in terms of the picks, except Queen of Pain on this patch. She's almost exclusively banned as well. Very rare for a team to get their hands on her.
Oh yeah, so essentially, like you were saying, the Lena gets most picked, but with Queen of Pain having that 100% rate, it's just that people are even more afraid of the Queen of Pain, that they never even let the enemy get the chance. People feel like they can play around the Lena. With the Queen of Pain, yeah, she makes it difficult, but we'll see. I mean, Rubik is actually a really good response in my mind, getting the blink out away from her early via spell steal. Stealing Sonic Wave, both very, very powerful ways to respond to the situation. Also, the instant stun helps to lock her down. But they are going to be facing kind of this, I wouldn't say cheese draft, but certainly very strategically minded towards AoE. They're going to be going Earthshaker, Queen of Pain, Darkseer, all about that wombo combo. Pull them in, knock them down.
Yeah, but once again, Rubik is really good against strategies like that, just because A, he has the ability to steal any of those wombo combo spells and turn it, and B, the null field in the late game is going to make that magic damage fall off even harder, and he can even, if he needs to, prioritize 5-10% magic resistance through the mid game just to kind of eke his team through.
Could we see a Winter Wyvern here?
I mean, we could, but we don't see a whole lot of Winter Wyverns so far. I think teams are still trying to make sure, because the teams didn't have any time to get used to Winter Wyvern with the new, well, nerfs since before the patch. So I think they're still trying to wrap their heads around him, make sure that they feel comfortable before running him a whole lot. Although I do think he's a very strong hero. Despite the nerfs.
What role or lane would you look for in that kind of a hero?
I think Winter Wyvern does really well in a 5 spot. I think Winter Wyvern, just because everything Winter Wyvern brings, when he brings basically out of his implicit kit. He doesn't need a whole lot of mana. He doesn't need a tremendous amount of gear. He needs a bit of maneuverability. A Blink Dagger would be nice, but honestly, boots will probably get him what you need if you have an initiator. You could also maybe see him in like a 2 spot if a team wanted to try that, but it's not something that I expect teams experiment with anytime soon, with all these heroes being resurgent back in the meta. There's a lot of experimenting to happen before you go that far down the rails.
Well, at least for now, the one aspect of Winter Wyvern is that he is kind of a counter to physical damage dealers, right-click carries more so than magical damage dealers. You're not going to be able to reflect like the Lesser X spell set against his allies, so that makes it a little bit weaker. I like the idea of vacuum into the Wyvern's ultimate, but in this case, they're up against a carry Leshrac. They're up against a lot of magical damage output. They're going to have to opt for something different. So probably a Darkseer Pipe of Insight game, for sure. They definitely need to be able to deal with that magical damage output. And then maybe something with a little bit more direct confrontation to that Leshrac. See if they can pressure him into a more defensive build.
Yeah, a Silencer would be a very, very strong pickup for Newbee.Y here. I think that it would be really good to stop the Shadow Fiend Tidehunter Leshrac combo moving in. It'd give them a lot of initiation, a ton of late game potential damage. And although the Silencer is not very survivable, I think it would work out pretty well for them. The only thing that they have to worry about, if that's the case, is they might want to think about banning a Nyx if they go that route.
That's an interesting decision, yeah. We'll see. But right now, I mean, you're looking for your carry, you're looking for another support. All the counter Leshrac. Silencer sounds good. Crystal Maiden is going to be the pick, though. And
it's a lot of AoE. It gives them that.
They got the Nova, they got the Freezing Field, and they've got a lot of mana to work with. I think that's really important for the Earthshaker early game in particular, but Queen of Pain too. Even the Darkseer. I mean, more Ion Chills, right? Like, he's got the longer duration, shorter cooldown over these past few patches, so he's going to be spamming that pretty actively, and the Aura can help him with that too. But I guess this is mostly just to kind of get Maiden into the jungle, get that independent source of farm for her with the Frostbite, and then for her to come online a little bit later. So we've got Earthshaker maybe helping Darkseer a little bit bot, and then rotating back towards the top to support. Queen of Pain pretty much can handle herself against the SF mid. And then Crystal mid, or yeah, see him in the jungle and one carry to deal with this Leshrac most directly. The Ban with the Lifesteal, I think that makes a lot of sense. The Rage, obviously, really good against most of what Newbee are bringing here, so very important for them to take that out. But yeah,
you could be looking at something like a Phantom Lancer to come out with the.
Well, that was banned out phase 2. Yeah.
Oh, it was. Aha! I missed it.
China respects the hell out of Phantom Lancer, honestly. Yeah, they are first banning that sometimes.
He has just had a skyrocketed ban rate lately. He's the third most banned hero on this patch with 40.7. Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of that comes out of China, as you mentioned. So.
Big deal there, but Slaughter is going to come out for Newbee. Kind of odd to see that. I think that means that we're going to be seeing a support Leshrac instead of a core, and that throws Newbee for a loop a little bit as far as what they were expecting out of this draft. They were probably expecting the carry Leshrac just because we've seen quite a bit of it from some of the higher tier teams, and I even saw Burning Leshrac. When I see Burning playing Leshrac, I know that it's what you kind of come to expect from the hero, but in this case, it looks like they're just using Leshrac as that alternative to Lina as far as the stunning potential, the magical damage potential, a little bit of extra push there, and then Slaughter is going to be the actual carry. So that means you get the Presence of Dark Lord combined with the amplification of damage, and you right-click stuff down. Ember Spirit's going to be the final selection for Newbee, and Battle Fury is pretty good in this draft.
Yeah, especially with the Darkseer's Vacuum, gives him a lot of potential. I'm interested to see how it works out for Newbee. They're putting a lot of eggs in one basket, whereas I feel like Newbee has a lot more flexibility how they want to move into the game. Well, if Newbee execute with that discipline that we kind of saw get away from them at the end of that last game, I think that they could execute this extremely strong. But if they are not coordinating exactly right in these fights, they're just going to get torn apart by the counter initiation of that Tide Hunter.
I think there also has to be a lot of respect given to Sansheng's Rubik. He has played amazingly on Rubik, and I think there's going to be a lot of potential for him to steal some amazing spells. You said naturally he's really good against these heroes, but at the very least he's going to be stealing some Freezing Field this game. I mean, that's the easiest spell, but if he can steal some more, I don't know, nifty things that he can find small timing windows to take full advantage of, the Rubik can do some amazing work this game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you had mentioned, the Crystal Maiden is really hard countered by the Rubik. The Null Field gets rid of basically all of her damage output. The Freezing Field is channeling so he can steal it, and then he has a spell to get you out of that as well. So he'll probably get a longer duration Freezing Field than you will in a lot of cases. The Crystal Maiden is a very risky pick.
The Fisher's not going to block them out here. They're just going to drop the Sentry and leave. I don't think the Sentry's in the right spot, though, to block out the camp. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Right now, Rabbit's moving forward, trying to kind of get control of this territory. And they will get the lift on Queen of Pain. They'll chain it into a stun. They'll get the Split Earth, too. That is not going to be a kill, though, with 27 HP. The Split Earth was just a tiny bit early. And now the Fisher will isolate 3. Moo on the front line, but Piao taking a lot of damage. Piao will die first. He has just too damn squishy, and Moo keeps on running. He will fall, but he'll bait 4, 5, 6 into a fight they don't want to take, and they've got, no more Crush. They're 3 mana away from another Crush. Telekinesis is going to set it up. There's going to be the Split Earth. Follow it up with the Slithering Crush, and Mur will be going down. Sansheng down to the last 40 damage right-click from Crystal Maiden. She cleans it up. Double kill for MK with only 40 right-click damage and the level 1 Nova. But it all starts off with the Queen of Pain kind of just limping back to base. She's unable to contribute, and despite the nice isolation Fisher, they commit to something that they're not tanky enough to engage upon.
Well, you want some Bloody Dota, you got some Bloody Dota. 5 kills at 9 seconds, and we're just getting started. Game number 2 already looking to be a bloodfest.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's so much potential. Obviously, the bottom lanes are going to be a little bit more boring to be in general. Like, the Earthshaker, Darkseer are all about playing it back, but they can be at least very annoying up against the Tide, who's, you know, he wants to be on the wave to farm. By the way, he did have to scale Gush for that engagement, so that's a pretty big difference from his natural laning phase. And beyond that, we're going to be seeing a pretty active mid and top lane. I mean, the 3v2 up top, obviously a very aggressive stance. If Sunshine can ever get in position, he's got enough money for boots, and it looks like he'll pick them up here. Oh my. Yeah, he's going to find a great opportunity on Piao pretty soon, I'm sure. But mid, obviously, back and forth. SCC and Moo look to trade hits pretty much constantly.
So Darkseer is an interesting hero here in this patch, just because he hasn't seen a lot of popularity lately, but he was one of Dota's most successful heroes for a long time, for about 2 years. Queen of Pain is going to move in here on Moo with the CM rotating in. There's going to be the freeze, and it's going to be a trade 1-for-1.
So Shadow Fiend does get the kill on the Queen of Pain first, so that means that the Radiant do get something out of that. Crystal Maiden actually ends up with the experience from that. So actually, she's the one that profits the most, and actually top, like I said, telekinesis, pretty easy to nab when you get that boots. So yeah, they're able to go combine that with Lightning Storm and bring down an Ember Spirit. So Crystal Maiden actually doing really well this game. She's level 3. She gets a 1-1-1 build out the gate.
Yeah, she's picked up another set of smoke, and she's getting ready to move in. However, Moo already trying to force that Queen of Pain back. I'm interested. Do you think that it would have been better for the Shadow Fiend to get the experience like he did for the first kill, or get the souls for the second kill? Because if he had come back into lane with full souls because he had gotten his kill after he died, he might have been able to kill the Queen of Pain there. We'll come back to the stop because we're having an engagement in the jungle as Banana gets stunned out right before he dies. There's not going to be the follow-up, though. So there's nobody else up there, although Sancheng thought about moving up that direction.
Okay. So he still got souls, but you're saying it was cut in half because he died.
Right. Okay. Right. He got max souls and then they got cut in half, rather than getting his souls cut in half and then being moved up to max souls so that he can come back into the lane with them.
So it's a difference of 6 souls. I would say that it's still better for Moo to get the experience here. It's all. I mean, 6 souls is nice to have for sure, but falling behind in levels versus the Queen of Pain CM, it's not ideal. Right now he's level 4.5. SCC is not even level 4 yet. So
yeah, makes sense.
I think that just raising it down, he'll be able to still kind of build that Necromastery momentum and kind of snowball this lane a little bit once he starts topping out.
Down in the bottom lane, June is doing surprisingly well against this dual lane. I mean, especially considering his survivability is very predicated on Kraken Shell. And that doesn't really help against the Magic Ion Shell, right? So you'd expect, at least in theory, June to be forced back a little bit more than he has been.
Alright, so at least for right now, I mean, it's going to be just like 3 people stalking up the mid lane. Telekinesis obviously would set up an easy kill, but can they actually break the smoke and get in range for the TK before the blink? Ooh. No. SCC turns right back around, gets the blink off, and that forces Sancheng and Banana to rotate back up top to harass the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, what that Rubik's selling, she's not buying. Very nice reaction time in that mid lane. And now we're actually going to have the Darkseer rotate out of his lane. He can afford to do this because he is on top of the last hits denies. So if he needs a little downtime in order to protect another lane, leaving the Earthshaker in order to get some free farm, he can do so absolutely without any repercussions whatsoever. He's already ahead. And we're going to have a smoke up here in the dire side jungle as we've got Ember Spirit and Crystal Maiden moving out.
Yeah, I mean, it will be clear that the CM is moving just because they have wards on the camp she would be farming otherwise, but where she is a completely different story. Unfortunately, Invis Sancheng actually going to break the smoke of the CM and Piao, and suddenly the jig is up. They shouldn't find the kill, but they might. Sancheng, as good as he's baiting it, are they going to be able to actually turn it around? MK will go down first to the next right click, and SCC without a blink for 6 seconds should fall with this Lightning Storm and the right clicks, but the vision is an issue. They finally see him once again. Blink coming off cooldown. They missed the stun.
Just that delay, that cast delay on Lestrak, any other stun would have made that happen.
Couldn't he have just gone for the Lightning Storm and just a couple of right clicks off of that, or?
You know, I don't think he had vision. I think he would have had to walk up an extra, 400 units in order to get that vision in the trees. Sure. So he just tried to clear it out with the Split Earth instead. I'm not sure that the Lightning Storm would have cleaned up the kill either. It's only, 60 damage after magic resist.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of feel it was like there was a time where he auto-attacked up the hill where I think they had a little bit of vision that he might have used it earlier, but the stun was what he went for. Newbee-Y, they walk away. They're still at a kill disadvantage here, 4 against 6, but you know, they still have ways of getting farm. That's the important thing here. Darkseer's jungling, CM's jungling. They're taking resources off the map, and that when kills aren't happening, when combat is not contested, I would say that Newbee.Y are, generally speaking, pulling ahead in farm.
Yeah, and, you know, they are about 1,500 gold in the lead. That's not by any means an insurmountable lead at this stage in the game, but it gives you that little leg up that you're going to want, especially if it is, like I had said earlier, on your offlaner. It allows him to rotate out of his lane and feel like he's not falling behind, which is key.
So, a bit of pause here, maybe some lag issues, going to reconnect back into it. And a bit of a gentleman's agreement between the two mids going for the runes here. 6 minutes spawn, Moo will go top, SCC will go bottom, no contest whatsoever. Both get the bottle refilled.
Yeah, nice to see that little sportsmanship between them. Hey, you go over there and we'll both play our luck. But, like I've been saying earlier, that this Darkseer is an interesting hero. We kind of got interrupted by a team fight. Just bear in mind that the very small amount of Ion Shell duration change that came with this patch amounts to a huge amount of damage. At level 3, where he is right now, is an extra 350 damage per target in full duration per Ion Shell. And if you think about if you are overlapping Ion Shells together, that's going to be a difference of 1,000 damage plus per target that's in, you know, the 2.5 Ion Shells that are going to be out at any given time. Yeah. It's a lot for pushes.
Yeah, another really cool thing that we're going to be seeing here from the Darkseer is this Mango store. And essentially, I was talking to Haas about this, and the Mango actually allows a lot of heroes who would generally have to delay their ultimates due to mana issues to pick it up earlier. Like, say, a Venomancer with Poison Nova, a Darkseer with Wall of Replica. Wall of Replica's mana was already reduced, the cost. The duration increased, the scaling a little bit reduced, but that's fine because it's a lot cheaper, a lot easier to use. But with CM's Arcane Aura, with the Soul Ring, and the possibility of chewing through the Mango, he's always going to be able to use the wall at level 6.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he can use enough mana to not be able to do his full combo, to be quite honest. Like, unless he's just being really irresponsible with his mana management in lane and then a fight breaks out. Yeah. But if he has even 3/4 mana moving into any sort of fight, he'll be able to do whatever he wants. Rubik is going to grab himself a little something up here on top. It's very deep dive coming out of Newbee, and successful nonetheless.
Yeah, final opportunity now down bottom. We're seeing some magic damage fly out, but Rabbit would love to sprint on this. They get the Lightning Storm out. One of these heroes should be going down, but MK connects with a disable. Just the Nova should be enough to keep Rabbit back. They Frostbite for good measure, and both make their escape. So, good little rotation with some good return damage, but in the end, it's just Ember Spirit to get space created for him, finally. Because Piao, he's gotten 14 last hits this game. He needed this space.
Yeah. Taking a look at the way our items are starting to shake out, it's looking like, well, the boots are out for everybody, but really nothing else coming out into the field. I guess we're only 7 minutes in this game. It's been so active that it doesn't feel like it. Oh, wow, Queen of Pain getting away with 51 health here in the mid. Yeah, this game feels like it's much later than it is, though. I don't know if you're experiencing the same time dilation that I am.
How do you mean?
It just, there's been so many kills in the last 7 minutes that it feels like we're like 15 minutes into this game, and items should be coming out, and we should be looking at tier 1 tower pushes, but we're not even outside of what would normally be considered a standard laning phase.
Yeah, the only thing that's really keeping me grounded is the levels. We still see some really low-level heroes, level 4, Ember Spirit, CM, Rubik, Lash. They're running around with almost no spell options available, so I keep on looking at that. I'm like, okay, well, we're still kind of in that early game stage, but yeah, as far as like how much action's passed, it's definitely been very dynamic. A lot of rotations, too. It's not just like the kills, but the movements for the kills that are very exaggerated. For example, Banana getting blinked on here in his own jungle. These heroes were just mid and just bottom and rotated back to Fountain. Like, there's a lot of movement along with a lot of action.
Yep. As that shakes down, it's just another couple hundred gold going the way, and Walmu basically free farms this mid lane. Rabbit has had a bit of trouble down here in the bottom lane thanks to that Darkseer, but now that he's being left alone a little bit more and Darkseer's rotating out, he's managed to get himself back on top of that last hits denies chart.
Yep, so we're going to see just in general, like him pulling forward in terms of general items, but is it just got to be the Blink Dagger this game? I mean, I pretty much feel like there's no alternative for Slardar. Like, you'd love to be like, oh yeah, I can just go Midas and Armlet and BKB and crush stuff, but generally speaking, if you don't have that instant initiation, you're still going to be unable to really get where you want to be in the fight.
Yeah, you're going to need to be able to initiate onto that Ravage, right? So being able to sprint in isn't going to be fast enough in order to make sure that you're securing the perfect chain stun, which is really what these guys need.
Speaking of perfect chain stun, the Split Earth and the raises, exactly what they want. Newbee taking down the Queen of Pain and now pushing heavily in the mid. Edict is not skilled up though. He just hit level 5 and he didn't go 2-1-2. He decided to go for the 3rd point here in Split Earth. So we're going to see the tower pressure is so-so. They're going to force the glyph for sure, and the DD rune should allow them to finish things off, but we'll have to see. The creep wave's pulled back, and they're going to have to wait out another wave, and that leaves the Queen of Pain back alive. Now they're committing to the tower itself. Double damage rune, right-clicked, allowing them to take it down quickly, and SF will take the last hit.
Yep. Things working out pretty well for Newbee. This game not going quite so heavily in their favor, but it's definitely working out. They're almost 4,000 gold in the lead, and at 10 minutes, that's a pretty sizable momentum shift. June is now going to get a very large stack of Ancients to his name as well, although Ancient Thunderhide did stop to cast Frenzy, and that's going to screw up his stack.
What
I thought they patched that. I thought there were patch notes like 2 sub-patches ago where they're like, we fixed Frenzy so that it won't stop you from stacking anymore.
Totally. We fixed pathing too, right?
Fixed, quote unquote.
Yeah. That hill troll lasted like, I don't know, 3 years, so I'm sure the Frenzy will be at TI 7 and might see a misstack, I don't know. But for now, yeah, June gonna go ahead, clear that out. Finally hitting level 8. That's kind of where you need to be at to guarantee this ancient farm when you go for that gush build. So in this case, he'll clear it out pretty easily. Does run low on mana and might actually magic stick, or he's gonna have to bet. Yeah, he's gonna magic stick it so that he can clear out this and still have the full HP and mana from the regen rune. Down bottom though, smoke play. Gonna get the Fisher onto Rabbit. He just bought the blink dagger. He'll sprint out and be just fine and dandy. So smoke really failing for Newbee.Y. I think that's actually probably the most characteristic aspect of the match. I mean, obviously, right here in this game, we see Piao getting shut down pretty hard with the aggressive stance from Newbee, but really, it's more the momentum bringers in Newbee.Y's movements that are completely collapsing in the early game. Their smokes never seem to work out the way they intend them to.
Yeah, Tidehunter now has enough for his Blink Dagger as well. Things are...
Blink Crush onto Ember Spirit, low armor, but still with the Flame Guard active, he will be able to jump away. And I don't think it's going to be another Blink Crush. He could try for it with that Amp Vision, but instead he just sees him healing back up a fountain and jumping back with the Fire Remnant.
Yeah, the cooldown on Blink Dagger wasn't quite fast enough for them to secure that kill, but they did force him away. He is going to come back with the Remnant, but now they know he can't TP out. At least, if things go hairy again. They know that he's here, too, because of the amp damage. Down bottom, we're going to see the fight.
Yeah, suddenly Blink Daggers on everyone. We're going to see June blink onto CM, nearly kill her off, but it's actually SCC with the Sonic Wave that turns it back around. So, killing off the Leshrac there, really nice deal. And, of course, now we see the Fisher out onto June. He'll go for one more anchor, but doesn't get it and will be going down. So, Rubik and the Leshrac dropping down to a lot of damage from the Queen of Pain. She did 1580 damage in that fight, and then they're going to take the tier 1 tower off of that. Really good play from the Queen of Pain, despite a really difficult laning phase for her.
Yeah, you know, Queen of Pain is one of those heroes that has a bit of bounce back potential. Yeah, she plays really well with momentum. To be fair, who doesn't as a hero? But the fact that she can rotate around and just get a couple of instant kills, especially on this specific patch where kills are so integral to your overall economic strategy, Queen of Pain, she goes out, she throws down a couple Sonic Waves, grabs a couple kills, and she can bounce back immediately.
It's interesting. Newbee knows that there's somebody here, but they actually haven't found anyone yet. Sansheng walks into 4 all of a sudden, steals a Nova, throws a Fade Bolt, but it's got to be the rest to clean it up. Echo Slam, killing off Banana before he gets a spell, and the Wall of Replica warding them off so they don't pursue further, but Blink Ravaging onto 3, huge Anchor Smash coming out, big right clicks, and it looks like they'll be able to clean up everybody here but the Queen of Pain. Guap will blink out, but in exchange for their 2 supports, they clean up 3. And they are able to pull forward really nicely with that Ravage.
Ember Spirit free farming during that time, trying to catch up, and a little bit of space created, but he's not really making anything with that time. He does not have anywhere near a Battle Fury, unless it's on the courier somewhere, but his farm just is not coming together.
By the way, I don't know, did you...
Oh, and he looks like he's going to die here.
Oh, the Bash coming out early, but not late.
Maybe
that
not.
Allows him
Okay.
to jump away. Do you have your Naval open mic for Dota TV?
Yeah, I do. I
Okay.
see the little box in my bottom right. Why is Dota TV? Are we getting complaints that I'm not audible?
One person
Dota
is
TV?
mentioning it. So if you cannot hear, did you reconnect in this game?
Not in this game, but
Okay.
I can disconnect and reconnect if that's what we want. Dota, you know, there are all sorts of caster glitches where Dota TV just refuses to recognize your mic, even though it's telling you that it's working. So
Sure. And we're going to see Moo go for the wind up here. No, just the raises. Doesn't go for the Requiem play. So, guys, if you cannot hear a Gorgon in the next minute or so, then go ahead and retoggle your audio channel. Just change it to a different broadcaster or to no broadcasters and switch it back to us. That may also fix it. Random Dota TV bugs happen quite a bit, but we're going to see Moo jumped on here. Pretty much dead to rights. The Yule Scepter would have delayed it, but he didn't even have that available. We're going to see, however, a big Remnant play coming in from the Rubik, and Piao's going to take massive damage going down.
Wow.
June jumping in now, has the Anchor Smash, and MK with the Freezing Field, looking to turn it around. June goes down with the Scream, and the Freezing Field is still in place, bringing down multiple, but a nice crush from Rabbit almost turns it back around. SCC dies to the Fire Remnant before being slammed down by the Enchant Totem. What a back and forth engagement. Oh, so hot and heavy here. 14 minutes in, we've got a 14-14 tie.
that was beautiful by the CM. Just making sure she knew that Rubik had already used Spell Steal. That was the only time that she's going to be able to get away with that sort of spell. Moving in and absolutely turning that fight. 100%.
1900 damage. The second I saw that Freezing Field, I was just, my brain in an instant was like, there's no stuns. There's no way to lock it down. It's going through for full duration until they can kill her. And she lived much longer than they desired her to. That was an incredible ulti. Perfect timing from MK. Just had everything positioned at the exact time he needed it to. Like, I looked at, I mean, Tide Ravage was just coming off cooldown pretty soon. All this good stuff. The spell steal, as you mentioned. Tons of ways to try to address it. But in that fight, the stars aligned, and that Freezing Field did tremendous work for Newbee.Y.
Yeah, though, to be fair, the steal that did come out instead of grabbing that Freezing Field, that ended up working out pretty well for the Rubik, getting the Remnant and just splashing around, making himself a pain. And he did like 14 to 1600 damage himself that fight.
Yeah, the Fire Remnant, I mean, any charge-based spell is really good for Rubik to steal. Yeah. You just get all the charges instantly, expend them, and move on to the next spell. It's just really very powerful. But we'll note here that Rubik didn't actually go for the Null Field this game, at least not yet. Obviously, he'll pick it up over stats, but he actually went for a 4-4-0 build. Usually, you only see a couple points in the Telekinesis, but here he's prioritizing the initiation of Telekinesis above all else.
Yeah, it looks like that's just going to be more chain stun potential. They're trying to keep Newbee from being able to get their execution just right? Because Newbee is very coordination based. So if they can keep that stun lasting a little bit longer, as we're going to see right here on the CM, then they can keep them.
Oh, the Ravage onto 456. It does hit Piao incidentally, but that's a very interesting decision to Ravage there. If they get Piao out of it, that's great. But he'll just jump across. Blink Crush prediction! Piao locked down and going down. And it does end up working out that way. I really am just surprised that the Ember Spirit even like being involved in that way. He probably could have walked away as soon as he got hit.
Yeah, this was a very nice set of plays by Newbee, and even though they're only up about 3 kills, they're sitting around 5,000 experience and close to 5,000 net worth lead as well. They should be able to start moving in towards some tier 2s after they clean up this tier 1, which is presumably going to be their target pretty soon. They thought about Roche and then decided not to. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're just doing the math a little bit. The negative armor is pretty strong from the amp damage, but do they actually have anything good to break Lincoln's? Okay, the Rubik does have Fade Bolt and Frostbite as well, so yeah. I just would say it's a timing issue. They realized that the negative armor, it would make it quick, but not quick enough, just barely. And you don't want to fight in against a Blink, Earthshaker, and a Darkseer in the pit. Like, this is going to be something that's true for the rest of the game.
Yeah. They do have the additional negative armor of the presence of the Dark Lord, which is up to level 3 now as well. So
he's doing pretty good on levels. Let's just check that out. Level 13 Shadow Fiend above level 11 of everyone else. That's pretty insane for him.
Well, he's got a lot of time in the mid lane where the Queen of Pain was not having the easiest of early games, and really he traded a couple kills, but remember he did get the experience for those, so yeah, things could definitely be going a lot worse for the Shadow Fiend. He did go for the Yule Scepter build, So we're not going to see quite as much in terms of surreptitious initiation. It looks like he's going to be waiting for the Tidehunter and the Slardar to be doing his initiating for him for the most part.
Echo Slam coming out pretty aggressively here. Queen of Pain looking for the Sonic Wave. Can't really find it on a good combo, though. They'll just clean up the Rubik, make sure he can't spell steal the Vacuum. Looking for the Sonic Wave, but it won't come. Instead, it's Moo with the Requiem onto Piao, turning it around. He's dropping low, but there's a freezing field in the trees, doing so much damage. SCC drops the Sonic Wave just to let it fly, and Slardar will crush her down in the end. So 3 for 2 is the concluding result. Surprisingly, Banana, the one that got initiated on in the first place with that Echo Slam, is the one to walk away. And yeah, it was the freezing field, the wall, and the Sonic Wave committed to make that fight happen.
Rabbit was desperate to try and clean that up. Either the Darkseer or the Ember Spirit there could not close the gap, and that Ion Shell doing a lot of damage to him while he had that sprint on.
Yeah, I mean, he was so close to killing off the Ember Spirit. It was just like, just a tiny bit off. I mean, with the amp damage, he's literally one-hittable with a good hit, high roll on the damage output, or even a bash. And that is going to be just frustrating for him that Piao got away. Otherwise, that would have been a pretty even exchange. The fact is, they didn't expend any cooldown but Requiem up against the 3 ultimates. If they could have killed Piao, then that would have been actually a good fight for Newbee. But instead, they lose the tower, they lose the fight hero-wise, and all it is Newbee just have to play it a little passively for about a minute.
Yeah, the downside to that is, for Newbee at least, they are now even on towers with Newbee, and they're still sitting more than 2,500 gold in deficit, which means Newbee is getting a lot more gold either out of the just general farming potential or out of these kills, which I suspect is a lot of it. Just making sure that they have the optimal number of heroes around to make sure that that AoE gold is being stacked up as much as they can. Getting the right heroes can really make a big difference over time, especially in a high kill game where you have almost 2 kills per minute.
So very active. I mean, right now we're going to see the Roche play. The Echo Slam is going to be on cooldown for a little bit. Sonic Wave pretty much synced up with that CD. So they only really are afraid of the Wall of Replica and the Freezing Field, but without a Blink Dagger, Crystal Maiden can't do nearly as much. She actually has a Glimmer Cape, which could be actually pretty sweet. And it is going to be them walking away from the pit again, kind of baiting them forward, now finding Piao out. Oh, what a crush! The bash and the kill. The bash was a little lucky, but still a great play to just kind of fall back a little bit and then find their opening where they crush him down. Still, it could be just the ultimates alone that make this happen. They could go into the pit, back them onto the high ground here, and that would be a beautiful play from the Blink Darkseer, but they gotta get the Echo Slam first. Darkseer, where are you at? No, they're just gonna sacrifice 456. The Vacuum does very little. The Wall and Sonic Wave are insufficient, but they are divided along with that wall. They'll have to be zoned out by that freezing field, but even still, I mean, they commit that Ravage, they fight it out the best they can, and they are gonna retreat. They have 3 versus 3 with no ultis to worry about, but they're not going to finish the Roche, despite it only having 4,000 HP.
Yeah, CM needs to remember to cast another spell, because she's going to move into the Roche, but hopefully cast one here. Rubik's dead now, but he won't be dead forever, and that freezing field is still on the ticker.
Why aren't Newbee in the Roche pit right now? I mean, the Leshrac is low on mana. He had to go counter push top or whatever, but it was a 3v3, and Newbee were the ones without ultimates. The Slardar and the Shadow Fiend, they do massive damage, and I really feel like they could have taken this pit.
I think their big concern here is that the tier 1 bottom is still available on Dire, and the respawn times are so low that all Newbee really has to do in order to make that a successful engagement for them is pick at the edges. They don't need to actually be able to take the fight. They just need to be able to prevent Newbee from successfully grabbing that Aegis safely for 20 seconds. And I think Newbee had a pretty decent chance of being able to do that. It could have gone either way, and I think Newbee, honestly, were more scared of the ramifications of losing another fight than they were of losing an Aegis.
Yeah, I understand the risk versus reward in that, and that, I guess, makes sense. But, I mean, with Moo still having the Requiem Yules available, like, that's one of those 3 heroes instantly dead. He has the BKB to make sure of that. I feel like there was definitely an opportune moment where Newbee could have not only denied the Aegis, but made it for their own. But nevertheless, that is the state of affairs, that we do have the Aegis and the Immortal on the Queen of Pain. SCC going to be feeling pretty good about that one, and this is definitely the beginning of a comeback swing. The Dire are starting to pull forward this game. They are going to get level 16 in the Queen of Pain. She's going to be looking for her. Either Ogre Club item will work out pretty well here, and just in general, as long as they can out-damage Newbee with these ultis, they can keep bringing the pain.
There's a fresh 10-second BKB sitting on top of Rabbit Slardar. So that making of a comeback is going to be very difficult to achieve if they do not manage to perma-stun that Slardar down before he gets that BKB off. Almost all of their damage at this stage in the game is magical, and not being able to use that in order to knock down the significant damage output and the stuns that the Slardar is throwing around, it basically ruins any potential Newbee has to take a fight for the next maybe 15 minutes. Like, they definitely need to either force him out of the fight really early or perma-stun him before he can get that BKB up in these fights.
Yeah, and it's kind of true for the Shadow Fiend too, unfortunately, is they both have 10-second BKBs. Moo is yet to use his, so it's like, I mean, how do you really address that other than starting a fight, forcing BKBs, and disengaging while only sacrificing one life? Like, you're not going to disengage fully. And SCC, oh, the haste rune is very fortuitous here, and it's going to allow SCC to walk away. Otherwise, that Aegis would be toast. And in fact, he's engaging on this. Going to get stunned up multiple times over. That Aegis confidence, he trades Ravage for Aegis. And it's going to be now Darkseer getting the wall. They get the Echo Slam. They bring down the Rubik quickly, but they're looking for more. Rabbit, where's that crush? On the high ground, has the blink, but he blinks out away from the fight. And they'll just keep walking. They'll lose the Rubik, lose the Ravage, and SCC will keep pursuing, catching out June. He's blocked off, and he can't get away. Moo, though, with the Requiem, is gonna do some good damage to the Queen of Pain, but not one-shotting her. It's Rabbit to do that. They clean her up with the Blink Crush. Now Crystal Maiden's slow on her feet, might be able to Glimmer Cape away before the amp damage comes out, but she just goes for the ultimate Glimmer Cape, and she's doing some tremendous work. Rabbit is dying so fast. Pops his BKB finally, but these cores are so low. Piao is gonna try to jump away, getting the help from 456. It's just enough for him to get the distance away, while the Shadow Fiend is on the run to the east, being chased down by the Crystal Maiden. Ember Spirit will get away, so we'll look over to the east and see Moo with that Urn of Shadows against him, but she's got to hit with one more spell. Yeah, there it is. The Fisher coming in, and them killing off the SF without...
just took a huge hit there, though, from that release of Requiem of the Souls when he died. He almost went down.
Mm-hmm. Tough stuff, but he's made of thicker things. He's got balls of steel, and he's going to be able to jump in and get the kill that they needed to really make that fight the trade they wanted.
Oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm. I was just going to say, in a game where Crystal Maiden was picked into a Rubric, who is like one of the hardest counters for CM in the game, she has been doing tremendous work. She, once again, the most damage out of any hero on the field in that fight with basically Freezing Field alone. She, in fact, doubled up the next two closest heroes.
I wouldn't be surprised if she had the most hero damage in the game right now as a level 13 CM.
That's crazy. What a play.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, the Rubik died really quickly in the first engagement there, so he gets to kind of play the field a little bit. They use the Ravage against things like just a Queen of Pain's Aegis. Yeah, he's going to be able to take advantage of that, and really good movement from him. This Glimmer Cape doing work as well, making it very difficult to respond, and that's a one fight while forcing BKBs on both heroes.
Tidehunter blinked into the wrong side of the tracks here, but he should be absolutely all right. Just a little bit of a no-shit moment. And items are starting to fall into Newbee.Y's hands. That's nice, right? I mean, Earthshaker will be sitting on top of the BKB that he's building towards in about 600 gold. There are full drums up on the Ember Spirit, and he's used one of those charges now. Glimmer Cape, I mean, Crystal Maiden is insanely rich this game. She is outperforming in terms of getting her items up, even her carry.
Yeah.
And yeah, her net worth is the lowest now, but it wasn't until very recently. She was actually middle of the road.
Yeah, she's going to get caught out here, though. Going to be able to get the nice stun combo. Pretty easy pick. Wandering into the wrong territory, and we're going to see June head out towards Piao, force him back, and we actually have an interesting position from the Queen of Pain, hiding out next to this Darkseer. I'm not sure if they can bait this, but MRR, he's doing something I would say is very suspicious, but it's going to be him TPing away. SCC still in the trees, but blinking further on.
She is going to blink away. She's still holding on to her TP, though. Which tells me that she's waiting for somebody to kind of straggle away from the herd as these guys thin out, and that doesn't appear to be happening for her.
Yeah, I mean, 490 pure damage is a lot, but Leshrac has 1200 HP. Double Bracer BKB makes him quite tanky, and there's really not that much kill opportunity. So he's not waiting for a kill. He's waiting. Okay, he's going for it. He pops the Necro, goes for the Mana Burn, but the BKB already popped. He needs one more right click. He gets it. And with the Necros,
Perfect.
That works out.
The thinning of the herd just takes a little bit longer than expected. And the patience really pays off for Queen of Pain. Most players would have backed out way before that point with the TP, just feeling like they were wasting their time and losing gold.
Yep, now we're going to see him run into Rabbit, though, and he's going to stop the crush, go for the blink, sprint forward, and SCC will be caught here. But can Sunshine get the lift? Oh, so close. Lift would equal Frostbite, and that would mean a kill, but the blink comes off cooldown just in the nick of time.
Yeah, that was... I mean, I'm not entirely sure what Queen of Pain was doing going back into her opponent's jungle there, but all things said and done, she got away, which nary a scratch on her, managed to grab a kill on the little Shrek, and opened up plenty of space for the Ember Spirit to be off doing his thing. Of course, his thing was dying, but even so.
So, we've got 13,000 net worth on the Shadow Fiend, 11k on the Slardar, 11 and 10 on the Queen of Pain and Darkseer respectively, while their Ember Spirit is 4th of their 5 heroes.
Another BKB popping out onto the Darkseer now. That's 5 in the game and probably more to come. Very magic-dependent teams from both sides. Just the amount of control in this game is insane. You very rarely see two teams that have 3 or 4 big AoE spells apiece.
And that's one of the reasons why Queen of Pain is such a big pick right now. It's her mobility in the laning phase actually gonna turn against her as she gets locked down a little bit too hard there. But generally speaking, as far as a pick goes, the fact that there are so many meta-relevant heroes that are forcing BKBs this hard, and she still gets the ulti through all that, like that's still a huge hero to have as your caster. That just builds momentum for the team. Piao in a bad spot here, cannot afford to die again. He is a poor man's Ember, and now it's going to be the lift up on 456. A beautiful Ravage, but it actually is just going to go on the Earthshaker. They can Fisher him back, or just right-click him down. That'll work too, and now it's going to be the BKBs pop from everyone, and then RR popping the mechanism to try to get away. It looks like he'll succeed in that endeavor, but the Gush, after the BKB expires, will finish him off. Now chasing onto the Ember Spirit. He gets the Remnant, but will he get the jump? Oh, barely getting away here, and it looks like he'll make his way home. So Krista Maiden back in the jungle, just farming up where she can, and otherwise, yeah, just going to be the Tier 1 and Tier 2 pressure to open up the Roche Pit wider for Newbee.
Slardar is sitting on top of a gem now as well. I guess he's had enough of that Glimmer Cave and wants to make sure that they can restrict vision as well.
Dire's bottom tower
As we
gonna find her here. Yeah, that gem, that bash, that amped damage, but doesn't want to be frostbitten. Will pop another BKB charge down to 7 seconds now. Actually gonna be pursued. Ember Spirit might be able to get Remnant forward into the Sleight of Fist chains, but a blink out from Rabbit keeps them fine. So 2 towers down bottom, taken care of again. Roshan and the Ancients not really being as easy to proxy to, but SCC blinks into 2, and they're gonna go on Sansheng hard. He gets a nice Fisher, but still going down quick. And SCC should be able to blink out of the Lesh. In fact, Banana are running out of mana here. Piao gets stunned. No! How does that happen?
It's definitely not what you want to be seeing for your Ember Spirit, who is now 2 and 8 with 6 assists. He has a Perseverance and Drums that are rapidly running out of charges.
Why can't he just... He has Fire Remnant charges. He's running in circles around the pulsing Goat Man. Like, I have to try to get inside this guy's head, but I mean, I'm assuming he's tilting a little bit, considering the CM's almost outfarmed him.
Yeah, you know, I feel like at this point in time, anytime he sees a kill that maybe he can be a part of, he really feels very invested in getting it, because that's the only way he's going to get any sort of bounce back gold. He's not going to farm fast enough until he gets to Battle Fury to keep up with the Slardar and the Shadow Fiend, and even the Tidehunter is able to knock down entire waves very quickly with Anchor Smash. The Ember Spirit's catch-up potential is really dependent on getting that Battle Fury first.
Yeah.
So
then the fight will be pretty easy for him. Just at least doing some good damage with the cleave. Look for a crit after that. I mean, he'll be contributing anything. Anytime the vacuum comes out, he'll be able to contribute. But it's just right now, it's been really, this hero's been almost non-existent. I feel like the Rubik has almost played a better Ember Spirit than the Ember Spirit himself.
Rubik's probably done more damage this game with, well, probably with Remnants than Ember Spirit has with Remnants, but definitely in these fights, I think Rubik's been pumping out more damage and has done more disables than the Ember Spirit has to opponents. I'm also unsure why he's opting to not get the Quelling Blade that he needs for his Battle Fury anyway in order to help him farm it up a little bit faster. Seems like he should just have it on him. You know?
Honestly, he just probably forgot. Ember Spirit is kind of inventory sensitive, so you just generally don't see Quelling Blade on him in 6.83. So it's probably just kind of an adjustment thing. It would be optimal definitely to have it, but it's just one thing that you don't
think about because it's such a subtle change. Yeah, I'm there with you. I really love that change. Out of all the changes, that's one of the Quelling Blade changes that they made all around the map have been very strong, I think.
Yeah, not bad at all. But we're going to be seeing Roche at least considered here. They have the gem range, they have the ward up top, so they will be able to deal with that cliff. Still, the Fire Remnant will give them vision inside the pit, and they'll know if they need to engage with the Darkseer. Well, let's look at Smoke's of Deceit. We have Smoke cooling down in 25 seconds for Newbee, and they haven't had one up until this point. So this is the Smoke that they're looking for to maybe take the engagement that sets up for the Roche, and all they have to do is push out their lanes to set it up.
Yeah, both teams have another Smoke coming off cooldown in about 10 seconds as well. And full Scotty has been finished out in the Shadow Fiend as he just continues to mow down waves like it's his job. Well, I guess it is up here. And there's really nothing that Newbee's doing about it.
Yeah, I didn't catch that kill, actually. Queen of Pain getting lifted, getting crushed, getting dropped down. She's just farming a little bit too far forward, and they've got all these wards to know that it's not a bait. There's no reinforcement. So
I can blink and blink away. I can be wherever I want to be. And she has learned a couple of times this game why that is the wrong mentality to have up against so much control coming out of Newbee. And remember, the Chinese teams, much more so than Western teams, have very little problem blowing big AoE spells in order to kill one important hero. Like, we've already seen a couple of one-man Ravages this game just to make sure that a kill is secured.
So they're moving the Gorgon to try to go for the smoke play as soon as the Roshan drops. So they're like, okay, that's worthless. Send it back to base, and they'll save that smoke for a rainy day. But for now, the Aegis is going to be up on the SF. You talked about the Scotty that allows him to tank even through the Queen of Pain's damage during the BKB, and man, he is just going to be so big, so beastly, so hard to bring down. And yeah, he's going to be the one that stands his ground throughout the rest of the fight.
How do you get away from Rabbit, too, while Moo has a Scotty? Right, that's basically there in order to hold somebody in place while Rabbit sprints up in the middle of a fight after he clears one target down.
Surge.
Moo is meanwhile just making sure that somebody else cannot get away.
Well, you do have Surge on the Darkseer. That's one utility that we don't really consider that much anymore. Usually we say Surge is a good escape mechanism for Darkseer at level 2 when he's being zoned out by supports. We look at Surge then as a way to escape on the off lane and survive there, but we really don't look at Surge when it comes down to the mid to late game against powerful slows. When Venomancer was common, I used to reference it very commonly as a good counter to like Venomous Gale and stuff like that. But now 456 gonna be killed very quickly and no hope for him.
Yeah, and it's also no surprise that Darkseer was hugely popular during the period of time where Lifestealer was considered a top tier hero as well. Same sort of stuff. Assault Cuirass now finished on to the Slardar, so is there any armor on any hero from Newbee.Y right now? We've got 16 on the Darkseer. That's going to be after Assault Cuirass and after Presence of the Dark Lord. It is going to be down to 5, excuse me. So the CM is going to be in way negative armor. The Queen of Pain will be in -2. The Ember Spirit's going to be at -9. Jeez. And that's without the additional damage coming out of the Amplify. Right? So most of these heroes are taking amp damage just by being near Newbee.
Oh, they saw the Ember Spirit. Can they get that Blink Crush, though? It's going to be the Blink Lift instead. Pulled right into the radius of the Crush. Split Earth as well. And that is a kill they just can't afford to give up. He was looking for the Battle Fury. He's going to be not only delayed on it, but unable to defend his high ground. Now they got Refresher on June. He's going to look for that double Ravage play, and I think he has enough to do it with both Arcane Boots. But we're going to be seeing them go for the Tier 3 tower. They just need the creep wave here. They'll lose the bottom, but they're fine with that. They are fine with base racing a Necro 3 Queen of Pain. They want to go for the mid racks, and they should be able to take it unless the wall is enough to wait it out. Let's see. The wall of replica could be huge here. Echo Slam as well. Great turtling tools from Newbee, but we're already in the base. SCC getting jumped on, gone before he can do anything. Buying back is necessary here, or they're going to lose everything as MRR goes down too. They steal the surge, not a big deal, but Queen of Pain coming back in, looking for the blink. Echo Slam out of the smoke. 456 hits on 2, hits on 3. Sonic Wave now doing lots of damage, but Moo and Rabbit are still alive, still standing their ground. The vacuum coming out with the wall, but there's Ravage 1 now popping the bottle. They can't even afford the refresher, but it doesn't matter. In the end, it is a triple kill for Moo. He comes back with the Aegis Immortal, clears out the illusions, and goes in right for the racks. So we're going to see them just try to finish that off really quickly. Diabolic Edict going to be very helpful with that, but he's trying to wait out the fortification. That's not coming. Pops the Edict, goes to the racks, and they don't glyph it at all. They know there's no hope to defend it. Gonna see Piao do some damage from long range. SCC coming back in to try to bring down Banana. Damage over time will hurt, but it's gonna be Rabbit on the front line that does so much more. They get the second Ravage, they get the wipe, completely annihilating Newbee.Y, and they're about to 2-0 them.
There's no reason for Newbee.Y to not be GGing here. I mean, there's no additional games in the series for them. I'm not entirely sure what they're holding out for. They've got no ults up when they do come back. There it is.
Yeah, just waiting it out here. But in the end, it was a tough run for them. The Newbee just outclassed them in this game here. They really were able to bring a little bit more. A lot of people will flame the Ember Spirit. Piao played one of the worst games I've seen him on. I've seen him on really good games, but on completely different heroes. He played a lot of Juggernaut in 6.83. Haven't seen him on his Ember, and maybe I don't want to again. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Ember's a hero that not a lot of teams have been playing a lot recently, too, so I imagine that maybe there's a little bit of rust involved there, and, you know, he just came off of a really rough game one where they just got annihilated, and Newbee's came in very strong today in both of these games. So, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you just have a bad game or a bad day, and you kind of have to shake it off.
Definitely. I mean, he was aggro tried against and kind of left 1v3 for a good half of that because they knew the Crystal Maiden would be jungling and that would leave the safe lane weak. So overall, they kind of just pressed their advantage in the laning stage, and Ember Spirit never got off the ground. And it's a shame because I really feel like Newbee could have gone really late with this draft. With the fact that you can steal both the Assault Kuros aura and the presence of the Dark Lord via the Wall of Replica, you could turn fights so well with that kind of reverse negative armor. But yeah. Instead, we see that happen exactly once, and it's too late as everybody's just falling flat, dying too quickly, and Newbee just run them over. Now, just under 40 minutes game time, they're able to take it 39-25, and that wraps it up for this series here. 2-0 in favor of Newbee over the Newbee youngster squad, putting the whippersnappers in their place as it is. But yeah, we're gonna be going into another series very shortly here. Gonna be the last two that I cover for this morning for iLeague. It is gonna be Newbee Miracle versus Braveheart. We're gonna be bringing you guys that game ASAP. It was scheduled for 13 minutes ago. We'll jump into lobby very quickly. And once again, thank you, Gorgon, for joining me for these games here. This has been really fun. A lot of great games and a lot of great commentary. Been happy to have you, man.
Hey, it's really been my pleasure to be here, and although I have been staying up quite late to make sure that it happens, it's been some really good games, and it's not that often that I get to cast Chinese Dota, so, you know, a little bit of a win-win, I think.
Good stuff, good stuff. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, check out BeyondTheSummit.tv to check out their coverage hub for all things BTS. If you enjoyed the commentary, look us up on Twitter, @BlazeCasting, @TheWonderCow, and we will be seeing you guys in the next game here in just a few minutes. Once again, it's Newbee Miracle versus Braveheart. See you guys soon.